All right, good morning. So it's Monday morning, coming off of last week. Um, had considerable losses last week, and so I didn't put together a week three. I think it was week three or week four. Week four for my small account challenge review. Basically, I kind of thought a lot about the mindset I was in and decided that I wanted to focus on myself and how I'm feeling, and not look back in the past and just look forward. And so, what I've decided is I'm not going to import any trading from this week until next weekend. And in that way, I'm not going to be focusing on the short term time frame as much as the bigger picture. Um, every day when I import my trades and look at trader view, I tend to look at the exact amount I would need to make to pull back to break even on a drawdown or something like that. And every time I do that, the numbers in the back of my head, and I might be trading to get a certain number, a certain profit on the day, as opposed to just trading the market. So yeah, that's about what I'm doing right now. And basically, I came to the conclusion that I've been putting too much pressure on myself to perform well, um, for numerous reasons. But it's caused me to fret over individual trades, individual stocks, and individual days. And this is a long term thing. It's not, one stock and it's over. It's not 2 days and it's over. It's several years, as a big picture for profitability. And so I am overall profitable, by a decent margin here. My accounts up quite a bit from when I started this small account challenge. However, after last week, it is very apparent that I need to have some systems in place so that I don't have unnecessary losses based on me trading when I'm not in the best emotional state. So, in that regard, this week, if I'm down $500, I'm just going to immediately call it a day and shut down my trading platform before I keep looking at other possible trades. So 500 is my max loss for the week, and I mean for the each day. I'm only going to take trades to the short side unless I see really good momentum to the long side and continuation. And there's a decent chance we will, because it looks like the market's, kind of bottomed out and could be climbing back up. So there's a good chance we'll see some continuation this week to the long side. We do have EYES, which has, last Friday it made this big move near the end of the day. And so what's going on here is it's trading around $8. It is above the VWAP, but it's gotten pretty choppy at this point. It has a whole bunch of volume, 47 million shares of volume already pre-market. I think, let's look on the daily chart here. On Friday, this stock had 739 million shares of volume. It has, you can see right here, it has a 6.27 million share float, which is pretty incredible. So 6.7 million or 6.27 million share float, and that means there's that many shares available to trade in the market, and shares were traded 739 million times. So each share was traded many times. So that's pretty interesting how much volume we had on this Friday. And so it's definitely on everyone's watch list this morning. However, it's not really holding up here. It Had some good breakouts pre-market, but at this point it looks like it's pretty choppy. So EYES, I can't short it, so couldn't trade this to the downside. However, I did get a good pre-market trade in on ANCN. So this one, it was easy to borrow here at Lightspeed earlier this morning, but now it isn't. So I saw it here tapping into the VWAP on the 5-minute chart here, volume weighted average price, and I sold it right here at 650. And what happened right there is we got a nice breakdown below this level, and I ended up getting out right here as it broke up out of this channel it had. Unfortunately, when I looked to get back in here at the VWAP, it was no longer easy to borrow. So I'm missing out on this big, nice VWAP trade, which is very, very typical of my trading style, shorting stocks as they come up and reject the VWAP. So did get one nice small trade here on ANCN to the short side pre-market, and now I can no longer short it because Lightspeed changed it so it's no longer easy to borrow today. So a little bit disappointing there because it has tons of room to come down on the daily chart. Right now it's at 540 and it could come down, you know, to $4. So that's a little bit of a sore spot there because I got in it here in an anticipation of I got out here as it broke above this channel with intentions to get back in up here, and then it was no longer easy to borrow at Lightspeed. So got blocked from continuing to trade that one. Good morning, Mr. Anderson. And so that's that one. And looks like there's some trouble with the live stream. I hope it's working, but it's telling me there could be some error. So hopefully it's coming through smoothly for you. And then what else do we have? IMVT, this one. So right off the gap scanner, we have EYES. We talked about that one. We have ANCN. And then IMVT is the other one with a lot of volume. Let me just look at XSPA really quick first. XSPA. Okay, interesting. So XSPA does have a history of some bigger moves. So I'll keep that one on my, watch list here. But then the other one I'm possibly interested in shorting, or the only one at this point, is IMVT. IMVT doesn't have any news that I can see. IMVT, and it's stair-stepping up here, and it's pretty close to the VWAP right now at 1977 or 1960. So it's about 60-70 cents off the VWAP right now. So I'll watch this one to see how it trades, see if it breaks down below the VWAP or if it continues higher. The trouble with this one, not really too much trouble, but it doesn't have nearly as much volume as the other stocks. I think ANCN had about 4 or 5 million shares traded when I was shorting it in pre-market, and EYES has a lot, probably over 50 now. 48 million shares of volume on EYES. So those are the three I have been eyeing pre-market. EYES I don't intend to trade because I can't short it and it doesn't look good trading to the long side anymore today. It's pretty pretty choppy right here. Breakout, 5-minute breakout rejected here. The best trade that I saw pre-market, which if I didn't really have a rule for myself to not trade to the long side, I would have gotten here right as it at about 840. I would have, I said in my head I would buy it here at 840, and because it had repeatedly been rejecting 850 here, testing it, and had a lot of momentum to break through 850, and it did a nice move all the way up here to 955, and then it had a failed 5-minute breakout up here. So it had one really nice pre-market trade there, but I didn't take it. I was still in my ANCN short at that point. ANCN making a nice move down. Really wish I could still short it, but I can't. And then IMVT. So I'll probably be watching IMVT the closest when the market opens. It is doing a 5-minute bull flag above the VWAP here. And if it doesn't continue, I'll probably short it at the VWAP. VWAP is currently 1971. So a little less than 5 minutes to the bell. So as I said earlier, I'm gonna stick to a $500 daily max loss as soon as I've ever down $500 this week on each individual day. I'm just gonna immediately shut down my platform and call it a day to avoid myself trading in a bad state of mind because I'm red on the day. So IMVT dropping down here a little bit, testing these levels here at 1982, 1972. So I'm going to short it here. IMVT short 221 shares at 1965. I didn't get the best fill there. If it's just a test of VWAP, I'll stop out at around $20 if I can. The spreads are a little bit big for my taste, but I am ready to stop out of this one. So it's coming back over 20. So took a $95 loss there. There's always a chance that when they come down and they break below the VWAP, they just drop down to a good level below the VWAP, and it might be the case here. I'm going to get back in it here again at 1965. So want to see it come down below the VWAP and hold below the VWAP. VWAP is 1972 right now. This one has a 41 million share float, so a little bit bigger float, a little bit higher price. It currently has 1.8 million shares of volume. On the daily chart, it's gapping up from 1351. So there's the drop I was looking for. So I'm going to, I did try taking setting a stop order pre-market and it didn't work. I'm going to be trying to use stop orders more often, but I'm still not really used to them because I don't really use them much, or haven't recently. So the market is now open. So dropping here on IMVT. I haven't really spent the time to look at the levels that this one might have, but it does look like there is one right here. So just looking on the daily chart, oh, it's gotten below that one. So down here, there's definitely a level at 1716 or so. I'm going to take off half here at 1837 because of this moving average right there. So locked up some profit on this one, and now I'm in a good shape to either add back if it tests the VWAP or stay in it. It looks like EYES, eyes, is trying to halt coming up here at 1031 to the long side. So that's probably the number one stock that day traders are watching now would be EYES. So IMVT continuing a little bit lower here. Big seller at 1783. You can see that right there. But he got bought up or took his order off. So EYES with a nice move here at the market open to the long side. Looks like the market is selling off a little bit here at the market open overall. So EYES, I'll pull this chart up. It's had this big move to the upside but come all the way back down. $9 up to a high of 1073 and back down to $9. So not a good sign for EYES as far as holding up these moves. You can see on the daily chart right here how much it's up from, last Thursday to Friday. Last Thursday it had a high of $1.69 and it's trading at $9. Good morning. Hope you guys had a good weekend. So just holding the second half of my position on IMVT. Got in for the break of the VWAP, stopped myself out, and then got back in. Took half of my profit down here at 1830, where this moving average was. Just holding the rest for now. Has a good bit of room on the daily chart to come down. There's no catalyst that I can see. And not really eyeing any other trades at this point. But I'll keep an eye on the scanner here and see if anything good comes up. So I decided this week I'm not going to import my trades every day. I'm just going to do it on Saturday or Sunday next weekend. So I'm not focusing on the narrow time frame, just focusing on, executing my trades in a mindful way and not getting into a state of mind where I'm going to be, losing a whole bunch of money that's completely unnecessary to lose. Some of my trading last week was, not too emotionally fueled in pre-market, just repeatedly trying to get in for moves that weren't happening. But, many $1,000s were lost by me last week trading my P&L and my emotions instead of following a solid strategy and trading plan. So that's what I would like to cut down on as much as possible. So anytime I'm down $500, I'm going to be done for the day this week. And that'll help for sure. So MBI, if this one gets some more volume on the day, I could short it for it to come down later. Looks like IMVT is coming up a little bit here, testing this moving average. For IMVT, if it does come up and test the VWAP, I would be adding to the position. So my price is 1965. So this white line here is my price, shorting it just below the VWAP there. So if I were to add on a test of the VWAP and it rejected it, that would be great. If I were to add on a test of the VWAP and it broke through and continued higher, I still have room to stop out and not, lose money on this trade. VWAP's at 913. My average price is 1965. So it's looks like EYES has climbed all the way back up to its high here, pretty much. EYES trying to break through 1050. EYES. So look at this one. All right, so EYES just halted, so we'll watch for resumption on that one at 9:45, just below 9:45. So only trading to the short side. Are any of you guys trading EYES? Currently has 77 million shares of volume. So market did a dip at the open, but now it's coming back and making highs, daily highs. So that's good for the overall market today. Yeah, EYES is definitely one that if I were trading, I could lose some money on quickly. Low float, tons of volume. Lots of people watching it. So I'm going to look for some levels on the IMVT chart here. Looks like back in early 2020, uh, 1634, 1673. So just below $17, in between 17 and 1650. That's a little bit of a level. But I don't see anything really exact except for right at 17. There's right here, right there, right here. So and then recently right here at well, that's 17, 16 right there. So I'm going to take another half of the position off here. So I'm only in 56 shares on IMVT. If it continues lower, great. If it bounces off this level, I'll add to it sometime. Up here, maybe at $18, or who knows. So in the driver's seat here on this trade on IMVT, I'm considering MBI below the VWAP. It does not have too much volume on the day, about 700,000 shares of volume. Right now it would be, a 5-minute breakout above $9 on the 5-minute chart. Let's see what EYES is up to. Wow. EYES going crazy. So this one will probably halt here. The halt level's right here at 1245. So not halting. But I would definitely think this one could do several halts today. So trying to halt up here at 1271. Didn't halt. If you just watch this number right here, you can see how quickly more and more shares are being traded on this. It opened up about 2 minutes ago, and there's, I think, 13,000 more shares of volume than there was when it halted. Excuse me. So IMVT continuing lower. Just have 56 shares shorted right now. My position was 222 or so at the beginning. I took off half at 1837 and then another half at 1718. So not writing the full moves today, but taking profit is good too. So it looks like ANCN did yet another test of the VWAP here. So if I could short this one anymore today, which I can't because Lightspeed changed it from easy to borrow to no longer easy to borrow between the time I took this trade here and when I was going to take a trade off the VWAP right here. So lots of good opportunities shorting this, bouncing off the VWAP. I just can't participate with my Lightspeed account because it's not easy to borrow. So I'm going to take a short position on MBI Just starting out with 108 shares here. I might add to it quickly if it stays below the VWAP. This one just has lower volume and not as much room to move as the other stocks I've traded to the short side today. So I'm watching IMVT on a different monitor, and I'm going to add here on MBI. So I'm short 400 shares at an average price of 866, and I'll try this. I was going to try and set a stop. Let's see here. I don't need to though, because I can actively watch this one. Just because I, typically am not liking to be trading two stocks, I might get out of IMVT here, but I don't really have a real reason to at this point. I'm just going to get out of IMVT here. So that way I'm not looking at two stocks. It just can, do two things not as well as doing one thing well. So I'm watching MBI. I'm in this with 400 shares short at 866. And it's dropping down. So this is a trade of dropping down below the VWAP. It hesitated here right below the VWAP, in between the VWAP and this 9 exponential moving average, which is this gray line here. And I just shorted it before it dropped below that. So up 10 cents here with 400 shares. This doesn't have too much volume. It has a couple cent spread. But there's no catalyst that I see. It's up on the day. So I'm so inexperienced with setting stop orders that I don't want it to be the wrong order and, buy back my position right now. So the only way to learn is experience. I don't know why my hotkey for so I'll put this order out here for a stop at 875, which is 5 cents above the VWAP. EYES continuing higher, hitting the scanners. Very impressive move on EYES. A good entry on EYES and sticking to it would be a really good trade today, but that opportunity has passed, and I'm very happy with these short trades I've taken today. So pretty pleased so far. Can't complain. MBI coming up closer to the VWAP here. My stop is set at 875, so it might execute. Lower volume, bigger spreads. 5-cent spread right now. So MBI operates as a holding company which engages in the provision of financial guarantee insurance, related insurance advisory and portfolio services, and asset management advisory services. Has a short float of 5%, according to Trade Ideas. Looks like ANCN decided to break to the upside, which doesn't surprise me because it has a 3 million share float. So it broke up above the VWAP there below $6 and will likely continue higher today. The market is up a little bit, and we're seeing some nice moves on EYES. It's pulling back now. So EYES just did this really big move here at the market open from $9 all the way up to $14.83, and it's pulling back now. So pulled back about $2.50 from the high. But for this move, it still hasn't pulled back all that far yet. So it's going to resume in about 4.5 minutes. Halted, coming down. MBI can't make up its mind below the VWAP here. IMVT continuing its move down. And ANCN continuing to come back up. It still hasn't reached the pre-market highs, which are way up here at 877. So it has $2 to go to get to the pre-market highs, but it's doing pretty good to reverse the trend of rejecting the VWAP pre-market. So overall today looks a little bit better for trading to the long side than last week. I really wanted to see IMVT test the VWAP, or at least do a nice consolidation, but it hasn't done that since it broke down below the VWAP and since the market opened. But I would like to see it do that. Give me another entry to short it. Oh, continuing lower for IMVT. So a minute until resumption on EYES, halted coming down here off the high. So some different things that this one could do are that it could open up about the same price, drop down and come back up. It could open up considerably lower and keep dropping down. There isn't really any way to know. That's why trading halts are so risky to be trading stocks that are halting like this, because it can whipsaw back and forth, up and down super fast, especially with this much volume. It has 115 million shares of volume, so tons of people are trading this, and it has a float of, what was it, 7 million, 6 million. So here it is. It opened up, dipped down a little bit, coming back up, a little bit of indecision here, now dropping down, coming back up. So right now it's just hovering right at the price that it halted at, and now it looks like it's coming back up. So MBI hanging around right at my price, but I have a stop order set 5 cents above 870, so 875. So I'm not really staring down that trade too much, just letting it sit there. I'll check IMVT on a different chart here. It's still continuing lower, but slowing down a little bit. I want to see that come back up to the VWAP or moving averages to get a good entry again. Still has some room to come down. Looks like the market is now coming down a little bit from the open. So it's always important to pay attention to the volume profiles. If you look here on EYES, it had a lot more volume on these candles here than it does on these ones. So that is a good sign that there's not as much selling as potentially needed to make this turn around for the day. So these right here show you how much volume, how many shares were traded in each candle, each of these candles. So it looks like I was stopped out on MBI there at 875. $46 loss, not a big deal at all. So that's the nice thing about stop orders is you can just take a trade, set a stop order, and know that if it doesn't go in your direction, then you'll be stopped out and life will go on and you won't have a the thing for me is if I set a stop order and let it execute like that and not watch the trade full time, I can pay attention to other things, and I also don't risk doing something I have a tendency to do when I'm not in the best trading mindset, which is to continually not stop out where I want to or where I said I'm going to, and just rationalize moving the stop up or down depending on if a long or short trade to the point where I have had a considerable loss. And that's pretty easy to do if you're trading based on your P&L and you're trying to be green, or you don't want to be red on that stock, or you have a certain price set in your or amount set in your mind that you want to make on the day and you're not there yet and you think the stock could go lower. It can be pretty easy in that kind of mindset to talk yourself into the less than great decisions. So EYES is hanging around the $12 range here. Looks like technically it already broke the high of the last 5-minute candle and then came back down here. So the most likely trade I see right now for myself would be IMVT if it pulls back up. So, wait, IMVT. So I had a nice trade here, up 342 realized profit from breaking below the VWAP here, taking profit, and taking profit. And it still has room on the daily chart here to come down a little bit. So if it does come back up, and I'll watch for it to curl and move lower and maybe take a short trade again on this one. I'll leave EYES up here on the chart just because it's the number one trending stock to day trade right now. But I'm not taking any trades on it. So it looks like there's about a 2.5 second lag on the live stream, which is pretty good. At least that's what I'm getting right here. You'll notice if you look at or if you've participated um, in trading chat rooms of different kinds. I think a lot of people that have trading chat rooms purposefully delay their um, their their screen and audio feed so that it can maybe allow them to sell when other people that could be influenced by what they're doing are buying. But I don't know. That's just a theory I have, but I don't know if that's true or if the programs that people use for chat rooms and stuff like that. But even on YouTube, I can go into the live stream settings and say how many seconds I want it to be delayed. So I have it set to the least delay possible, and I think that shows it's about 2 seconds right now. So I don't know why anyone would have more than 2 seconds or so if that technology is easily available and it's a live stream. It's a live stream for a reason. So everything is happening in real time. Yep. Yeah, I'm not trading EYES at all. I'm just watching it because it's kind of fun to watch. Halted, coming down now at 11:46, and it will resume at 10:16:10 Eastern time. So we have 4.5 more minutes on that until it resumes. So still don't have any other trades I'm looking at unless IMVT tests and rejects maybe the VWAP or these moving averages. But it's pretty far down off the VWAP, over $2. So since I'm only shorting stocks today at this point and the rest of the week, every time a stock hits the scanner here and looks somewhat interesting, I'll just type it in on the level 2 I'm not using as much. So I just type in OPGN and check it out. If it isn't easy to borrow, I might look at it just to see what it's doing for fun. But in my recovery mode from last week, I just feel like trading in one direction will help me get back on track. And I feel more comfortable and proficient trading to the short side right now. The only thing that can really really bite me bad if I'm shorting, or to the long, but the thing that's really bit me bad recently, aside from, well, quite a few things, but what could bite me really bad is not stopping out when I should. So as long as I stop out at a good price, and like I did on MBI today, I just set a stop loss order, and it worked just fine. I wasn't even watching and had a pretty small loss on that. As long as I can, stop out, then I'll be in pretty good shape. But if I rationalize staying in a stock that's not moving in my direction and continually not stop out when I should be and let it get deeper and deeper into the red, that's when I struggle. That's a no-no. So if you haven't been in the live stream for too long, coming off last week, I decided I'm not really recapping everything too much. I didn't do a weekly recap video. I'm not going to import any of my trades into TraderView until next weekend at the earliest. I don't want to focus on the extremely small time frame, because when I do that, if I'm down on one trade or down on one stock or even down on one day, I start to get conscientious of my performance or get worried about my account because, it's a small account. I don't want it to get down so low that I can't trade in it. So that would, that would be the worst case scenario for, trying to build a small account. So, because I'm trying to demonstrate, you can do this starting out with a smaller amount of money. And so I've decided that I'm not going to focus on the small timeline, because every time I had a red day, it really got to me, even though in the big picture it wasn't a big deal. And then looking at it on that small time frame, I went into the next day with that mentality of being concerned and worried about my performance in such a small time frame that it negatively impacted me throughout last week. So in order to not do that, I'm not going to get super focused in on, losses here or there. I'm limiting myself to 500 red on the day. If I get to that point, I'm going to immediately shut down my platform, my charts, and not look at the market at all for the rest of the day. Yeah, 500 a day will do it. And I'm at 500 right now, even after commissions probably. So that's pretty good. I can have all kinds of other jobs where I couldn't do this as easily, and probably not enjoy life nearly as much. So I definitely like to not make the monstrous mistakes that I did last week. So it looks like IMVT is trying to drop down below 16 here. But if I remember correctly, that was one of the levels I found on the daily chart was, so the high of this candle is 1622. This one opened up at 1609. Not like that means a whole lot. And then back over here in 2020, what were those levels again? I think it was 1617. Well, just right around $16 is a little bit of a level. So EYES, just checking in on it for fun. ORTX, let's look at that one. It's easy to borrow. 1.5 million shares of volume. Don't see any news. It has a bigger float, 85 million float. But doesn't really have much of a move to come down on below the VWAP. VWAP's at 787. So I'm not really interested in that. But I'll keep an eye on it. So IMVT broke down below 16. And now it's back up above 16. My first trade this morning was on ANCN pre-market. It was a pretty good trade. I saw it bouncing off the VWAP here and shorted it as it broke below 650 right here. And I got out of the trade here as it broke back above this channel right there. I intended to short it again here, but from the time I took this short trade and got out of it to the time I was going to take a trade here, Lightspeed changed it from made it no longer easy to borrow. So I didn't get in on that short trade there. Had it remained easy to borrow and I kept trading it, I think I would have done pretty well. You know, I would have gotten another solid chunk of profit here, but I would have stopped out of it at some point when the market opened, because I probably would have stopped out of it and then gotten back in here at the VWAP and then gotten stopped out here. So not too disappointed about not being able to short that anymore today. But it will probably, who knows, it might hold this level, but I'm pretty sure it will come down. I don't see any news on it, so the daily level here on IMVT, it's come back quite a bit and could come down quite a bit more, but it does have this moving average here, so the only way I would probably want to trade this if it came all the way up to the VWAP and then started coming back down. So currently don't have any other trades I'm looking at. Just kind of watching EYES, see how it performs. But not with the intention to trade it at all. If I'm not mistaken, this is basically the same catalyst as Friday, but I don't remember for sure. FDA approval. Yeah, I think that's the same catalyst. Good job, Robert. Green's good. I'll take a trade on ORTX here at 812. Just a small position. Getting in here, it is pulling back a little bit, so it might just continue higher. But I'm getting in kind of in anticipation if it doesn't do that. And I'll do my stop here, so practice setting my stop. Still seems kind of weird to me, but I'll set a stop at 8:30. I'm not the best at picking which price to stop out at, so I just put in a stop order there at 8:30 for my 149 shares on EYES. So if it executed at 8:30, that would be a 18-cent loss. So in order to have a 2-to-1 win for what I'm risking on this, it would need to go, all the way down to around here. So it would have to break through the VWAP and come a bit lower. So just kind of playing with the stop loss orders. So EYES coming down to the VWAP. If any of you are showing EYES as easy to borrow, I want to know which broker you have. Yeah, markets coming up some more. So it's good to see that that the market's up. Definitely don't want to see it keep selling off. Cool. Thanks for letting me know, Ziki. So I think what I need to do is just open up some more accounts at these different brokers and switch between them, because I can have them all linked. I think I can have, maybe not, but I think I can have multiple brokers linked to the Sterling platform at one time. I know I can have multiple accounts. Maybe not brokers. I'm just gonna get out of ORTX. Wasn't much of a entry. This stock just doesn't have a lot of movement today, so I wonder if I leave my stop loss order and it executes, if I'd buy back into it. Huh. That's good to know about Cobra. I had never heard of it. I'm looking at the website right now. So MBI is another potential short, but it just isn't moving all that much. So below VWAP, VWAP's at 876. It would have to pull back quite a bit and wouldn't have as much room to come down after that. So I have MBI on watch as well. ASO. So IMBT right at $16 here. It finally tapped this 9 EMA. So if it comes down now, it might continue lower. Or it could break above and go higher, but I'll watch it below 1580. The low of this last 5-minute candle is 1578. So I might short it around 1580 if it comes lower. So watching IMVT here. So I'm going to short it here at 1590 on the 1-minute chart, dropping down below here, and there we go. Nice. So coming down. So it's all about timing your entries, and ideally it continues lower here. My price is 1591. So when I was watching there, I was watching for it to break below 1595 here on the 1-minute chart and on the level 2, and I saw it. There were 1,000 shares ordered to buy at 1595, and I watched that disappear and immediately sent my order with hotkeys. So right now I guess I could set a stop. So my stop would be I don't want it to be too far, but 1625 seems like about the right level. I'll just put it as 1625 for now, and maybe adjust it later, but only lower. I'm not going to move it any higher than that. So I want to see it drop, stay below 1580, below 1578, which is the bottom, the down lower side of this last candle. So we have a new 5-minute candle. Really want to see it stay below 1580. Trouble is there's isn't as much room on the 5-minute chart as there was when I was shorting it earlier, but there's still some room. So right now with a 16.25 stop, that's 34 cents from my price, I believe. Yeah. So 68 cents is what I would have to make on this for a 2-to-1 ratio. So that might be a little bit too much. My stop might be too high up there, because 68 cents is all the way down here, just above this moving average. And it is coming up above 1580 again. So let's see. It's good. So 3 minutes left on this candle. If any of you guys have general like feedback on my trading, based on what you're seeing and what you see that's good, or what you see that might be a potential issue, I would really appreciate if you aren't too reserved and just kind of tell me what you see, because I think it can help a lot having outside perspectives. I'm a pretty stubborn person at times, so sometimes it takes me a while to take like observations in and feedback and things like that. But I would really be perfectly okay if you don't hold back and tell me what you think about certain trades I take or anything like that. Because I'm always wanting to improve, but maybe not so much in real time, but maybe after the fact, after I've already taken the trade, it would be most helpful, as opposed to real time, but I'm not sure. So it looks like 1560 is a bit of a level here. Tapped it twice, and 2 other candles it's dropped down below and then come back up. So that's my entry right there at 1591. So 1560 is the price to get down below. MBI was hitting the scanners. So the higher this one goes, the better for a potential short later in the day. So dropping down below 1560. Nice. So celebrating little moves here on IMVT. Up almost 40 cents. 30 cents. I don't know why the delay was longer some of the days last week, but so far so good. Looks like the delay has been very, very minimal today in the live stream. So for the first 2 weeks of sharing my trading on YouTube, I was averaging pretty much $1,000 a day, starting with a $2,000 account. And you know, if you average things out and include periods and streaks, red streaks like last week, really cuts that down a whole lot. I think it came down to 200 something a day, which is way different. So, you know, the drawdowns and unnecessary losses that I had last week definitely make a big difference, but it's all about constantly improving. One step at a time. As long as you can, you know, go 2 steps forward, 2 steps back, and stay in the market, and eventually you'll slowly have bigger steps forward and smaller steps backwards. My biggest issue is occasional really big steps backwards. I still have make mistakes that are very preventable and that I'm always trying to minimize when it happens, but I still have times where I make mistakes that are very easy for me to stop trading when I should, and give back a bunch of profit. And last week was a crystal clear example of that. But I'm still going 2 steps forward, 1 step back. So as long as you can do that, it'll work out. And the more time that I'm in the market experiencing and learning and constructively analyzing my behavior trading, in the long run, I should be able to constantly evolve my trading, constantly adapt to the market, and be a profitable trader for the foreseeable future. It's just very, very, very important to dig deep and look into the psychology of trading, because that has been by far the biggest challenge for me learning to trade, is understanding what my mind is doing and how I'm reacting to my trades and the moves in the stock market, and how that influences my next trade and my next trade and the next day. And so being aware of that is very important. And there's a lot of really good books, a lot of really good YouTube videos, a lot of really good websites that have a lot of information on the psychology of day trading and the psychology of trading. And it's I think it's all very helpful, useful information. And if you're struggling with anything like I do periodically, you might want to check some of those resources out. There's plenty of good free stuff on the internet to look into, and understanding the psychology is really, really the number one thing that that I think has been helping me. I'm taking half of my trade off here on IMVT, because on the daily chart it's getting down right here to this moving average. It's showing at 1520, but just taking off half of my profit on that trade. So I only have now short 137 shares at an average price of 1590. So from 1591 to executing at 1530, 31, 32 here, that was a nice 60-cent trade there. I'm actually going to get out of the rest here, so got out at 1524 there. So I'm all out of IMVT, getting off for the likely bounce off of this moving average. So I'm not in any trades now, currently up $708.50 before commissions, realized profit. I'm green on 2 stocks and red on 2. Only been shorting today. Have a nice day, Robert. Good job. Thanks for joining, and I'll see you tomorrow. So I'm all out of IMVT. If it continues lower, that's great. If it doesn't, that's okay too. So MBI, this one has continued up quite a bit here. It's just not going to give me as good of an opportunity for an entry as, say, IMVT did, because this one's up above the VWAP and doesn't have as much volume. The other one I was potentially looking at was MESA, but daily chart isn't really good at all. But that one would be a potential short. Yeah, but not really much to see on the daily chart. So let's just check into a few stocks, see how EYES is doing. Still above the VWAP, but trending down right now. Kind of. Who knows what this one could do? It could go up into the 20s today, or it could pull back to $6 or something like that. So it'll be fun to check in after the market closes and after hours and see where EYES has ended up on the day. ANCN, the first stock I traded today pre-market, made it back up above the VWAP and held above the VWAP for 5, 10, 15, 20, 20 minutes here at around 10 o'clock this morning Eastern time, but it's back below the VWAP. I shorted it right here. Pre-market, it tested the VWAP, and right at around 7 a.m. Eastern time, 2.5 hours before the market opened, I shorted it and had a decent move down to here. Bought it back right here as it came up above these channels, this upper trend line here on this channel. And I was going to short it again, but I couldn't, because from the time I took this trade to right here, my broker, Lightspeed, made this stock no longer easy to borrow. So I just haven't traded it anymore today. And I think that just about does it for me today. I don't need to stay a whole lot longer. One of my struggles I've had trading is being a little bit greedy, and wow, I can sit here in a couple hours and make $700. Why don't I just stay another couple $100 and double it, make 14? Well, the longer I'm sitting here trading and looking at all these screens with all this information and watching all this movement, the more I get fatigued mentally, emotionally, and maybe a little bit physically. And so I'm not going to be taking as much quality trades the longer I stay. And also, the best opportunities in the stock market for day trading are usually in the first hour to 2 hours of the market open. That's when there's the most volume. That's when there's the most traders actively watching, and therefore that's when there's the biggest moves to capitalize on. So now that we're getting to the market being open for just under an hour and 30 minutes, I think I'm going to call it a day. So finishing the day up $708.50 before commissions. It'll probably be, I'm just roughly guessing, but about $100 of commissions today. So probably around 600 after commissions, which is a nice healthy green day to start the week. And I will come back tomorrow morning, trying to settle on the best time to start my live streams, but sometimes pre-market I just don't really want to go on because I might not take any trades for a couple hours, and it could be kind of boring for me to just be sitting there in the live stream at 3 o'clock Alaska time in the morning, or 7 o'clock Eastern time, just waiting for there to be some good setups to trade. So I might go online on the live stream very early on some days, and I might just go online around 15 minutes before the market open on other days. So trying to figure that out, what's best there. And aside from that, I'm happy with my performance today. It's a lot better than last week. Not importing my trades, not keeping track of anything to the T as far as my progress in my small account challenge goes. I'll just check in at the end of the week and see how I'm doing then, maybe in 2 weeks. And by doing that, I'm not going to be fretting so much and worrying and pressured about certain amounts I have to make back to get to where I was, or etc. So with that, I'm going to call it a day. 11 o'clock Eastern time. Traded for about 2 hours, maybe a little bit more. Actually, more than 2 hours, but been live streaming for less than 2 hours, and I'll be back at it tomorrow morning. Have a great Monday, and I'll see you tomorrow morning.